Hello, my name is JT Harmon, and today I'd like to talk to you about why you should support the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. First off, we must understand that abortion is not a political issue, it is a moral issue. The conversation to be had about abortion should not be a conversation of arguing which political side stands for what. It should be a conversation about how precious life is and that it is a moral issue. Back in 1973, Roe v. Wade was decided on the Supreme Court that allowed abortions to happen in every state. And for the last 50 years, that's been taking place. And over that time frame, I want to read some statistics. 1 in 4 women have had an abortion. And nearly 1 million abortions are reported every year in the United States. And that's just the ones that are reported. That's 1 million abortions per year in just the United States. And here's something that really is interesting that we need to look at. Many people, when talking about abortion, will say, well, what about issues like rape and incest? And I would agree that those issues should be looked at very carefully and that they are terrible things that happen. But what we don't hear is that those issues are outliers. They are issues that are not as when there's 1 million abortions, that's not 1 million issues of rape and incest. Here's a statistic on that. 1.5% of abortions are due to rape and incest. So that shows us that nearly hundreds of thousands of those abortions, close to 1 million lives are lost and don't have the opportunity to life yearly. That's 1 million that can make a difference. That's 1 million lives that can make a difference in this world. And we need to understand that those abortions don't have to happen, that there's alternatives to those abortions like adoption, assistance, child care, different case management for each situation that presents itself. This is opportunities and alternatives in every state that are offered. And this is very easy to get into these alternatives and find out more about them. And this is ways that the number of abortions could be taken down drastically. And we see this, and we see the Supreme Court making this ruling, and this is a reason we should get behind this ruling, is because there are many alternatives that would lead away from abortions. I want to share a story really quickly. I talked to a young lady just a few days ago, and we were just talking, and she found out that I was an assistant pastor, so she asked me where I stood on abortions. And we were having a great conversation. I didn't expect it to lead this way, but I told her very politely that I didn't personally agree with abortions, that I felt like life was precious and that everyone should have the opportunity to life. And she would come and say, well, there's many different situations like rape and incest, exactly what I read to you in a statistic. And I said, that's true, and those situations are terrible, and they should be looked at. But I said, I feel like abortion's been taken out of proportion, and that it happens very, very often, more often than it ever should, and should be attended to happen. And she said, and I said, well, there's many alternatives that can be taken. And she immediately interrupted me and said, I know what you're going to say, adoption. And I said, well, that's one that I would say. And she said, I hate adoption. And I asked the young lady why she hated adoption. And she said, because I was in an adoption clinic for 3 years when I was born until I was adopted. And she said, I love my family now. And I spoke up after she was done, and I said, well, I want to tell you I'm glad that you have the opportunity, that I've had the opportunity to speak with you, and that you have the opportunity to be here, and that you have the opportunity. And the reason is because of adoption. She looked at me and she smiled and said, well, I guess you're right. That has given me the opportunity. So when we look at abortion, we look at the alternatives, we look at the moral issue of it, and we see that life is precious and that it should be counted so. So today I want you to begin to look at abortion as not a political issue, but a moral issue. And these are the reasons why we should all get behind this decision that has been made to overturn Roe v. Wade and move in the right direction and see life as precious and a very moral thing that everybody should have the opportunity to. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this has helped you.